Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today, my friends, we are diving back into Warzone. We're taking a look at the best loadouts to use here in Season 3, where, honestly, I think the meta is at the best point it's ever been. Because of all the weapon tuning that took place in the Season 3 update, we now have a ton of different really good weapons, really viable and competitive weapons to use, way more than we've had in the past few seasons, which honestly is a great thing to have. Before we get into all the setups though, just want to remind you guys the Hey Hi How You Doing merch is available right now over on 1UP Threads. There is a link down in the description below, but the merch is only available for this weekend. So if you want to cop anything, be sure to check out the link down below. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. Let's go for 5,000 likes on this one, see if we can cross the higher like goal for today. And if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in COD, news, intel, updates, you name it, it's all right here. So feel free to subscribe, that way you can stay up to date. So the first loadout is the MAC-10 and the AMAC sort of as a combination, but I do just want to throw out with pretty much all the weapons that I'm featuring in this video, you can mix and match all these on different loadouts, so you don't have to use the AMACs always with the MAC-10 as like the best loadout. You can swap out the secondary, you can swap out the primary. Pretty much every loadout today is interchangeable in that way, so just a heads up there. But when it comes to the AMACs and the MAC-10, this is a loadout that I've been running for multiple seasons now. The AMAX is maybe the best AR now because the FFAR was nerfed. It has the potential to be the best gun in the game also because the AUG and the M16 nerf. I mean, the thing has the power, it's got the range, the damage drop-offs really aren't very severe, and the recoil pattern, while it is a bit more than some of the other rifles out there, it's still not that hard to learn. So after you get that down, even without mounting, you can control this thing pretty easily. And then when it comes to the MAC-10, this thing is fast. It's my speedy setup. It's all about just non-stop aggression, rushing pretty much all around the map. It's a great rotation weapon. It's a great CQC weapon. And these two together, I feel like, complement one another very, very nicely. You've got the medium and the long range with the AMAX, and you've got the close range with the MAC-10. So this by far is one of my favorite setups and definitely a beast here in Season 3. So for the attachments here on the AMAX, first up, this is pretty much like the standard setup we've been using for quite some time. We've got the monolithic suppressor, the Zodiac barrel, the commando foregrip, the 45 round mags, then also the VLK 3x optic. And on this optic, I do also use the T-pose just because I really like how that one looks. Then on the MAC-10, currently I'm using the Task Force barrel. This is pretty much the best barrel on all the Cold War SMGs. I've also got the Tiger Team Spotlight, the Striker Grip, and those two together make this thing incredibly, incredibly fast. You might be wondering why I'm not using an agency suppressor on there, and really it comes down to I'm not using the MAC-10 at any long ranges, so that increased range that offers doesn't really benefit me that much. I'd much prefer to use this in those close quarters fights, so I don't really find the need for a suppressor, and I'm okay with showing up on the minimap. It is what it is. But alongside that, I've also got the 53 round drum, and then finally the Raider stock. Like I said, this thing is incredibly fast. I love rushing around with it. Then for the perks and equipment, we'll just go over this once. It's the same on all of my loadouts. Double time, overkill, and amped. I do always swap out overkill though for restock in my second loadout. Then I've got the thermite and the stuns on there too. Now, loadout number 2 is all about the M16 and the Cold War MP5. Really, both the MP5s are very viable in this meta. We'll get to the Modern Warfare one later on into the video. But the Cold War MP5, I feel like is great. Its TTK is really, really good for an SMG. It's one of the best SMGs in the game when it comes to the damage and the time to kill up close. Then the M16, despite getting nerfed, is still a very, very competitive rifle. I'd say it's more so geared for those medium and long range fights now. Before the nerf, you could use it at pretty much any range and it was really good. Now it's definitely more of a ranged weapon than it is a close range weapon, so I'd avoid using it in those situations. But of course, you got the MP5 to cover that, and that thing's gonna be really, really good for that. So here for the attachments, pretty basic setup, pretty similar to what we had before actually. The agency silencer for that increased velocity range, and then of course it's gonna hide me on the minimap. I do still use the Strike Team barrel. I'm kind of on the fence about this one. They ended up nerfing the rapid fire barrel, the Strike Team barrel, and I think the titanium barrel too. So I'm kind of up in the air when it comes to what I really want to use, but I have stuck with Strike Team so far and it's worked out just fine. I've also got the Field Agent Grip on there, the 45 round speed mag, and then the 3x optic as well. Then for the Cold War MP5, like I said, I love this thing. It's so much fun to use. On there, I've got Agency Suppressor, the Task Force barrel, the Field Agent Grip, the 40 round drum, and then also the Raider stock for some better mobility. After that, we've got like my main restock class for Season 3, and that consists of the AK-47 from Cold War, then also the Psychov from Modern Warfare. These two together are also really, really fun to use. The AKs are really good, like medium range rifle right now. It did get a recoil buff with the Season 3 update, so now it's a lot easier to use. And this thing packs a punch. It is incredibly powerful, so its TTK is great. It's got good range, but I don't use an optic on it personally, so I'm not really using it in those really long range fights. Then when it comes to the pistols, The Psychov in specific, I still think is the best pistol out there because you can use it as a fully auto pistol. And you also get the 80 round mags. So with those added into the equation, I think it's still the best pistol. It's better than the M19, the Diamatti, you name it. I'm really, really comfortable with using that as a close range secondary. So these two together is a great choice. Then of course, you get restock right off the rip, which is super nice. On the AK-47, currently I'm rocking the GRU suppressor, the VDV reinforced barrel, the Spetsnaz grip for a bit more control. You really don't have any recoil with this on there. I've also got the 45 round mag on there, and then finally the skeletal stock. I could honestly see this being one of the meta setups for the season just because this thing is incredibly powerful. Then for the Psychov, I've got the monolithic suppressor, the 140mm auto barrel. Even though it did get nerfed, it's nice to have a fully auto pistol. I've also got the 5mm laser on there, the 80 round drums, then the Priz rack grip, which actually increases the ADS speed and the sprint to fire speed. I like having that extra mobility. Then we've got what is now one of my new favorite setups for this season. This one features the Kar 98K and the Fara, or the Fara 83 rifle from Cold War. Of course, with the Season 3 update, the Fara ended up getting a pretty big buff to a lot of different areas, and now it's actually a ridiculously good rifle. This thing has very, very minimal recoil. It's great up close and in medium range fights. You can use it in some longer range fights, but I think it really thrives around that medium range, so that's really where I like to use it. And this thing, like I said, is just so much better than it was before now. Definitely a very, very competitive rifle. Personally, I do think you can use this with a lot of different weapons. I like to use it as like a sniper support. It works well there. You could run a sub with it and have a more aggressive class. You could even do restock right off the rip and use it with the Psychov. I'd say right now the Fara, whatever it's called, is one of the more versatile rifles. And I have so much fun using it right now. So when it comes to the setup on the Kar, this is the basic one we've been using forever. Monolithic suppressor, 27.6-inch barrel, tac laser, sniper scope with the cross-thread reticle, then also the comb stock. And then on the Fara, I've got the Mastercraft here because it just looks awesome. I've got the Spetsnaz RPK barrel, which ends up increasing the range, the velocity, and the strafe speed. I've got the Infiltrator grip, which is sort of an interesting choice. It increases the movement speed, and I like having that better mobility. It, by default, is a bit of a slower rifle, and when you're using it as a secondary on like a sniper setup, it's definitely nice to have a faster secondary there, so I like to have that. But this is totally viable, like I said, for other complements as well, SMGs, pistols, whatever. I've also got the Spetsnaz 50 round mag on there, the Serpent Rat for an increased ADS time, and then finally the skeletal stock. Once again, you increase the mobility here, you get some range as well. All around a very, very fun setup. Now following that, we've got a very similar setup and a very similar loadout in general. It's the Kar and the FFAR. Yes, the FFAR did get nerfed in the Season 3 update. No, it did not get just thrown into the dirt. It's still a very, very good rifle. I'd say easily top 5, maybe even top 3. Despite the nerf, it still feels very similar to how it did before. You can use it extremely well in those close and medium range fights. It pretty much has no range, but it didn't have a ton before either just because of the recoil. The setup's a bit different, but overall, it's a great secondary to have on either a double rifle loadout, so you're using like the AMAX and maybe an FFAR, or personally, I think it fits the best as a sniper complement. And the Kar setup here, exact same as before, all the same attachments. On the FFAR, I'm using the Task Force barrel, the Field Agent grip because I do want to try and control that recoil a bit more. The standard 50 round mag, the Serpent Rat for the same reason is over on the Fara, then also the Raider stock for better mobility. Now another SMG that I think is great in the current Season 3 meta is the Bullfrog. Personally, I paired it with the AMAX for this video, but you can use it with pretty much anything else we've talked about in this video so far. The Bullfrog is awesome because it has that larger mag, so you don't have to waste an attachment on that. It's got almost no recoil, really clean iron sights, and its headshot multiplier up close is insane. So the TTK has the potential to be really, really good. It is lacking in some range though, so I wouldn't say it's the best SMG, but it's definitely a competitor right now. I absolutely love this gun. I think it is so much fun to use. As far as the AMAX goes, same setup as before, all the usual attachments there. Then on the Bullfrog, I've got the GRU suppressor, the Task Force barrel. I like having the Tiger team on there for that better mobility. You don't necessarily have to use that. You could always use a grip if you wanted to, or even like the 5mm laser or something. I've got the Serpent Wrap on there yet again, and then also no stock, all of which is going to make this setup even faster while not really hurting anything like the range of the controller or anything like that. Then following that, we've got kind of an interesting setup. This is just two really competitive weapons sort of mashed together. You don't necessarily have to use these together like I said earlier. But this is the Stoner from Cold War and then the Modern Warfare MP5. The Stoner, well, it is very slow. It is an LMG, so, you know, to be expected. It hits like a truck. It is so powerful. The recoil really isn't too bad. It's got great range. So this is definitely one of the better medium and long range options in the game. You're not really going to use it up close just because it's not fast enough. But of course, that's where you got the Modern Warfare MP5. it's pretty much been a beast all year long ever since Warzone dropped. So we know the deal with that one. It's got great hip fire, great close range damage, great mobility. It's almost the perfect SMG. So when it comes to the stoner here, I've got the agency suppressor, the task force barrel, the field agent grip, the 2x optic, but honestly you could use any optic you wanted to. Then finally the Raider pad stock. If you want to fully commit to this being a medium and long range weapon, you don't necessarily have to have the Raider on there. You could always slow it down, add in something like the fast mag, the 120 round mag. Really up to you there, but this is the setup that I really liked. And then on the Modern Warfare MP5, same setup as always, monolithic integral suppressor, the 5mm laser, the Merc foregrip, the 45 round mags, and also the icon, the Stippy Grippy. Alright, so post-edit Zach here. Hey, hi, how you doing once again? As I played more, I realized I left one gun off this list that absolutely should not be left off this list, and that is the Krig. Of course, this got a buff with the whole Season 3 update as well, and it's actually really, really good now. So as far as that setup goes, I'd recommend Agency Suppressor, the Takedown Barrel, the 45 round mag, the 3x optic, and then either the Raider stock or an underbarrel, probably like Field Agent. Personally, I like the Raider stock a lot. It gives you some really good mobility and some really good strafe speed. But if you do want a little bit more control, then I go for the grip. Really just comes down to preference for that. But yeah, the Krig is a beast. Then the final loadout that we're looking at today is a combination of the two new weapons, the PPSH, then also the Swiss K31. But I'm gonna go ahead and say neither of these weapons are that competitive. They're more so just viable, but as always with the new seasonal loadout videos that we do every single season, I always do put in the new weapons just so that you guys have a loadout and a class setup for them. So just a heads up, these aren't the best weapons in the game, but these are the best setups for them. When it comes to the PPSH, this thing has great mobility. It's a very, very fast SMG, but its TTK just is not good enough to hang with a lot of the other SMGs. So for that reason, I put it in a viable category and not so much the competitive category. And then almost the same deal with the K31. Everything but the reload that the K31 can do, the car can do better. So you don't really have a reason to use this unless you just want to have fun with it. It does have that faster reload, like I said, but when it comes to velocity, ADS speed, all that stuff, the car does win. So when it comes to the PPSH, I've got the Grue Suppressor, the Task Force Barrel, the Tiger Team Spotlight yet again. Not a necessary attachment. I like it for that better mobility. You could always use something like the Spetsnaz grip instead if you wanted to. I've also got the 40 round speed mag, and then finally the Raider stock, pretty standard SMG setup here. And then on the K31, I'm not sure why it keeps taking off my Grue Suppressor, but you want to use the Grue Suppressor on there and the Combat Recon Barrel. These two combined are going to give you the best velocity possible. I've also got the Royal and Cross 4x optic on there. That's going to hide your glint so you don't have to worry about being spotted by enemies when you're ADSing. Personally, I use the fast mag. You could use kind of any magazine option you want on here. Then finally, I've got the Serpent Rat for better speed, better mobility. It's going to help out a bit there. So yeah, those are the best loadouts to use here in Season 3. Like I said in the intro, I think this is probably the most diverse the meta has ever been here in Warzone. There's a lot of really, really good weapons, and there's also some other weapons that I didn't mention in this video that are also pretty good. The Krig is up there, the Kilo is up there, the Grau, the M4. So this meta is very open. You can use a lot of different weapons and do well with them, which I think is a fantastic thing to be able to say. Finally, it's been a while since we've had a meta like this, but I'm happy it's the way it is. But anyways, that is going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video or if you found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you haven't already subscribed, I am always covering everything going on in COD, news, intel, updates, you name it, it's all right here. So feel free to subscribe, that way you can always stay up to date. Once again, and as always, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.